Thank you very much, Giovanni. It's a great honor to speak today about seismic cloaks from optics to geophysics. So you can see that it's in collaboration with quite a few people. So essentially what I'm going to talk about is, principle of transformation optics, because invisibility cloaks was first designed by the group of Surgeon Pendry in optics. And then we will move on to acoustic cloaks, so some kind of sound of silence. And then from acoustic to solid mechanics, which is our current topic. And I will have a specific interest in platonic cloaks. So these are invisibility cloaks for flexural waves propagating in thin plates. And then I will repeat what I've done for plates in substrates, so in soils. And this will be Rayleigh and Love waves. And finally, I will show you some large-scale experiments which are quite old now, and we will conclude. Right, so principle of transformation optics. This comes from the Maxwell equation. So essentially what happens, you can start from a Cartesian grid, and you can stretch this grid, and you make a hole. And you will place an object in this hole, and this hole will be made invisible to all electromagnetic waves, because essentially electromagnetic waves in a stretched, deformed space will follow the geodesics. So they won't be able to see this kind of black hole. So the effect of this stretch is to create some heterogeneous anisotropic medium given by complex permittivity and permeability that I won't have time today to describe. Here, essentially, I show you a numerical experiment. So you have a point source which radiates a concentric wave. And then I place this point source close to a scattering object, F like Fresnel or France or whatever you like. And so now you can see that the effect of having the scattering object near the point source is that you have deformed phase. And besides, behind the object, you can see that you have some kind of shadow zone where the electromagnetic field is damped. So now if you surround this object by the invisibility cloak, which is a corona made of certain kind of metamaterial, you can see that although the field is locally deformed inside the cloak, outside the cloak, this field could be superimposed with the field which is for the point source in free space. So essentially, you have made your object invisible, but not only is it invisible, but also it's protected from the waves coming from outside. So here you have some plethora of experimental results for electromagnetic waves. So people have managed to create invisibility cloaks, but at the nanoscale, very small scale. And gradually, people started to make bigger and bigger cloaks. And really, today, what we are going to talk about are cloaks which can be meter or decameter in diameter. So, moving on from electromagnetism to acoustic cloaks, essentially, we can be concerned, for instance, with airborne pressure waves or surface water waves. And our idea in Marseille was to design this kind of cloak, which you see in the right-hand side. And this cloak is quite different from the cloak engineered by Surgeon Pendry, in that now essentially you have pillars, and these pillars are closer and closer when you get towards the center of the cloak. And so the wave will face some narrower, smaller and smaller corridors. So the wave will be forced to follow some curved trajectory, and it won't be able to propagate towards the center of the cloak. So that's the mechanism, essentially. And this is some kind of anisotropy, because you have some preferential direction of propagation. So here you have the equations of Helmholtz of acoustics. So essentially what the transformation creates is an effective anisotropic density or viscosity for a fluid, shear viscosity. Depending upon the wave concept, you will have anisotropy in different material parameters or liquid parameters. So here I'm showing you an experiment. So here you can see just half of the cloak. You have the concentric wave which comes from the upper left corner. So this is rough data. There is no numerical treatment here. And you can see that the wave shape is nicely reconstructed behind the cloak. And actually, the object which is in the center, these are nails, metallic nails that should scatter a lot the field, are totally invisible. And so this cloak works for a broad range of frequencies. It was tested actually also for electromagnetic waves and other kinds of waves, but here it's for airborne sound waves. And so what we would like to do is reproduce what we have done for acoustics for solid mechanics. But here there is a catch. The solid mechanics equations are not invariant upon geometric transform. So when you make your geometric transform, you stretch your coordinate, you totally damage the structure of your equations, and you end up with new kinds of equations, so-called Willis, from John Willis, Willis equations. And you can see in the equation you have additional tensors. So you start from a tensor of elasticity, and when you make the transform, now you have additional tensors of inertia, viscosity, which you did not want really. And now you have to really handle that. Well, there is a little trick here, is that instead of having this horrible equation, you can force the displacement field in the Cartesian coordinate system and in the stretch coordinate system to have the exact same form, shape. And in this case, what will happen is that you will preserve your Navier equation, but you will break the minor symmetries of your elasticity tensor. This is what people call a Cosera or micropolar elastic medium. And so we made some experiments, numerical experiments long ago, more than 10 years ago. This works very well in the frequency domain. This doesn't work actually in the time domain. There is a problem with numerical packages for the time domain. We think it's due to some kind of singularity. We haven't sorted out this problem. But we were also able to design the full spherical elastodynamic cloak again in the frequency domain together with André Diatta, with a mathematician. And we have a horrible elasticity tensor, which is heterogeneous, anisotropic, non-symmetric, but numerically we perform invisibility. And so instead of having this horrible media that will never be real media, we looked at what the group of Martin Wegner at the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology did. And essentially what they did is that they took a lattice and they stretched the lattice according to the transform, and they observed that this real lattice actually performs naturally the invisibility for elastic waves. But that was here for statics experiments. There is no wave. So we redid what the group of Martin Wegner proposed for some elastodynamic computations. And indeed, in the quasi-static, so low frequency regime, we managed to cloak a region of space just with a lattice. So it's a bare lattice, but it is stretched. And so mathematically, you can see these are awful expression, and we have shown some theorems, so we can show existence and uniqueness of the solution in the transformed equations. We can do wonderful things, but actually what happens in the real world? So in the real world is just too scary. So we want to reduce one dimension. We actually shrink the medium, and now we have just a plate. And so the plate equations, well-known Kirchhoff-Love plate equation, which are fourth order differential equations. So it's a bi-Laplacian. You can perform the trick of the geometric transform and you preserve the structure of the equations, at least in certain approximation. And this approximation was good enough to actually be confirmed by experiments by a group again of Martin Wegner. They are really excellent people. And this is some very large band in broadband invisibility for flexural waves on plates. And as soon as we think of flexural or Lamb waves, we think of Rayleigh waves, surface Rayleigh waves in a substrate. What will happen? We will see next. And so actually the equations we looked at were not totally correct. So they have been revisited by Daniel Colquitt at the University of Liverpool. And he found that there was a little twist to our equation, is that you need a pre-stress for the plate to perform well, so-called perfect clocking, but who cares in real life? And actually, we revisited the equations of Daniel Colquitt. He himself made an error, and in the end, it's even more awful if you want to perform clocking in the time domain in a plate. And well, we did it. We actually also proposed to perform some kind of fisheye lens in a plate. So here you just structure the plate so that it changes of thickness, and you manage to refocus a signal which is initiated on one side of the lens, the other side, and this works both numerically and experimentally in the time domain. And this is raw data. There is no post-treatment again. And so then, of course, the obvious question was, can we have Maxwell fisheye lenses used as a design of the seismic cloak? In theory, we can. So if you put 4 such lenses next to each other and you have a building in the middle, well, the building is protected from the surface Rayleigh waves. And besides from that, there is no scattering back reflection for the Rayleigh wave. So this would be the kind of seismic cloak that people would have to design, but well, in practice, who would have the space to design such a huge cloak? And so here is another possibility. Instead of having these 4 Maxwell fisheye lenses, you just have a forest of trees of varying height, and the height is given by the transform, allowing to, to stretch your coordinate system. This works pretty well, pretty reasonably well in numerics, but the experiments have never been done. And so now, well, here are some wonderful experiments, so geophysics experiments which have been done by the team of Philippe Roux, again with these ideas of resonators atop a substrate. And this is real life. They measured the interaction of waves with a forest of trees, and they could see some kind of scattering, stop band damping. And so this tells you that perhaps now if you reorganize the trees around the corona, you might achieve the effect which we have seen numerically previously. So here, another experiment, but on a smaller scale. So it's a rock, and you put some nails atop the rock, and these nails will be your trees. And essentially now you are in the kilohertz regime. You are no longer in the hertz regime because you have scaled down from geophysics to a laboratory experiment. And what happens is that your forest of trees, I'm going to show you in a second, allows you to perform some invisibility cloaking. Sadly enough, the movie doesn't run. Okay, that's not too bad. Let me move on now to another kind of seismic waves. These are the surface Love waves. So far the waves are, moving like that. And now we have this kind of shear. And these surface Love waves can be quite deleterious in many parts of the world, including Mexico City. You just need a soft layer atop a rock or a denser, stiffer layer of soil, and then this will guide this kind of deleterious Rayleigh waves. And there is one way to actually control these waves is by noticing the analogy with optics, because in optics, these are called surface plasmon polaritons, well known when you have a metal and you have some dielectric on top of the metal. And so now, using a mathematical analogy with the equation of optics and mechanics, we were able to actually control the propagation of love waves by a forest of tree of varying heights. And the equations would be just the same in optics and seismic waves. That's the beauty of it, as shown by this three-dimensional full elastic experiment. And so now, okay, people might think he's just a dreamer, but they were actually large-scale experiments performed by our team. So motivated, like I said, by the geophysics experiments of Philippe Roux, by some experiments at FEMTO, so by the group of Abdelkrim Khelif, Vincent Laude, and Younes Achawi. And before that, the group of Meseguer and José Sanchez de Eza in Spain. And so also this group actually of Andrea Colombi and people in Nottingham. Now, what happens if we actually want to control Rayleigh waves on a large scale? Well, we drill holes, so we can even fill these holes with concrete. And we can, of course, get the photonic crystal effect. So we have a stop band, and then your waves get back reflected, which is kind of quite intriguing. So here you have a crane which rotates at 50 Hertz, as shown by the movie. Actually, this creates a Rayleigh wave propagating at 50 Hertz. And so we are able to, well, if the movie runs, we are able to see, you will see the ground which moves. So here, this crane is used to drill the holes, but it's also used to generate the signal. So you will see the little stones moving, just like small particles at the surface of the ocean, in pretty much the same way. So you have three rows of boreholes, and they are 2 meters apart. They are 30 centimeters in diameter. They are 5 meters deep, and using some analogy with theory of plates, we were able to see that there is a stop band at 50 Hertz, and this is essentially what was observed in the experiments. So that's our dream. This is what we would like to do, is to surround a building by boreholes or concrete and to make invisibility real. We are not there yet, but we managed already to do something which is quite an achievement. We managed to focus the seismic waves via negative refraction. So now what you have here is that you take your boreholes, but you rotate your lattice, and in this way you create what we call negative refraction when the wave propagates in some kind of zigzag fashion. And so you can see here, you have a source, so it's in the time domain. And then this creates, so this source is created by the impact, a mass which falls on the ground, 17-ton mass dropped by 20 meters high. And then you can see that the signal is refocused inside the lens. And then behind the lens, according to the Pendry-Veselago ray picture for negative refraction. This is quite amazing because nobody did it before for seismic waves. We did, we published it. It was very hard actually, it took 2 years, but people accepted that we have very good comparison between numerics and experiments. So this is the first convergent flat seismic waves lens via negative refraction. And so here we stand, and we know that we have this whole set of equations that we have, to play with, to manipulate, to simplify, and this is mathematics in order to get what we want. And one thing which we manage again to achieve almost in practice, so with full elasticity three-dimensional computation, is putting some concrete in very specific location. We get the invisibility cloak effect. And so finally, to conclude, this is the whole range of possibilities with invisibility for heat, for acoustic waves, for surface waves, in elasticity, in optics, in whatever you wish. It's always the same trick. You have anisotropy following the geometric transform, but in elasticity, this is the hardest to get because the elasticity equations don't like geometric transforms. Nonetheless, managed to propose some kind of crazy idea of a city cloak. So this is Bogdan Ungureanu. So you have your buildings, they are spaced along some quasi-grid. And doing that, we can control the relay wave in between the buildings, but the buildings would act as trees, so resonators atop the soil, so maybe people would be shaken inside their buildings, so it's perhaps not too good. So here is the full three-dimensional elasticity experiments in the time domain by Bogdan Ungureanu. And I would also want to mention that Bogdan has looked together with Mehul Makwana and Richard Craster at the brand new subject of topological crystals, bringing it to the realm of seismic metamaterials. So topological crystals is the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2016, and that was for quantum mechanics, and today it's already in seismic metamaterials and it's under review. And so finally, starting from electromagnetic to acoustic to seismic waves, we have proposed a route, a new path, very extraordinary path to seismic cloaks. And there is this alternative path proposed by the group of Andrea Colombi and Philippe Roux, which is to use forest of trees via stop band properties, but also perhaps, reorganizing them in a corona in a similar fashion to these concrete columns. Perhaps they could achieve also a seismic cloak effect. Thank you very much for your attention.